In this short timpani etude from the Whaley book, there's really just a couple of things to address. The first one will be your rolls. You have short rolls that take up an eighth note, and you have longer rolls that take up a quarter note. The tempo is not very fast. It's 92. So for me, a really nice roll base on my eighth note rolls is a 4 pattern. So I do 4 strokes per eighth note. The quarter note rolls, honestly, I don't really meter in my head. I make them a little bit longer. I don't think I'm doing a perfect 8. I personally like to do odd roll base numbers, so I like to play 5s and 7s. So since I have a little bit more time on that quarter note roll, I probably do something like that. It's not metered in my head because I'm trying to make it real smooth. For sure, though, on the eighth note rolls, they happen so quickly that I do have an absolute meter in my head that I'm thinking, and I do have 4 under each eighth note roll. There are several of those. The final roll has a fermata on it, and of course, I'm just holding that fermata maybe a couple extra beats. The second thing to address is the dampening. There are several quarter note rests and a few eighth note rests. Now, in a timpani solo, I would probably suggest to my students to dampen a little bit more often than I would if they were playing a symphony piece. Often in a symphony, we have a lot of rest that we don't dampen because, in fact, we're playing with the trombones or something like that. The context is not the same. When you're playing with a large orchestra, you can get away with dampening less. However, in the timpani solo, when it's just you playing, I probably would recommend to do a little bit more dampening. You'll notice, if you watch me play all the way through it, that I dampen all the quarter note rests at the beginning. I don't dampen the quick eighth note rests. That was just a little too quick for me. It made the phrasing a little off, so I decided not to dampen the 2 eighth note rests. And then the other 2 measures I treat slightly differently are the measures where the quarter note has a little let vibrate sign. It's not really a slur marking because there's not a note to slur to, but it looks like the sign we would see on a suspended cymbal hit. So in that measure, it happens in line 5 and 6. I decided not to dampen on that quarter note. There's one on the C and there's one on the D. So just to acknowledge that you recognize there's something different in those bars, I might suggest not dampening those quarter notes. The only other place I dampen is at the very end of the piece. After you've played your C for just a couple of beats, feel free to dampen it so you clear all the sound at the end of the etude.